Do you have issues with a wallet that is just too thick for you to use properly? When you put it in your back pocket and you sit down, does it lift your left butt cheek up a little bit too much and bend that spine a weird way? Do you want people to know how much money you have? Do you want to spend it on something extravagant just cause you can? Well, come on down to Affluent Furs Anonymous. Come gamble your life savings away at one of our no-cap auctions where people who don't know how auctions work will jump the price by $200 in the first couple bids. If that don't float your goat, try our one-price YCHs that cost more than your car. You can't afford it? We've got payment plans stretching as long as your student loans. And if you still aren't sold, come join our secret-only members club where you can bid for a chance at buying a commission. Just a chance. Affluent Furs Anonymous, where you can spend money to spend money so other people know you're rich. We're enablers! Hey guys, today we got a bit of an interesting and morally gray topic that's been bugging me the more I see of it and the more I research things. Elitism, especially furry elitism surrounding major artists and content creators. To be clear, I'm not talking about forming social cliques or private groups. For now, there is one specific one I'll talk about in a later video. A good overall example and stepping stone for what I want to talk about is one particular artist, Miles DF. Now, I do not know Miles DF personally. I've never interacted with him. I've never purchased art from him. I'm just like everyone else who has seen the tweets and reacted with skepticism. Also, he isn't the only person that does the things I'm about to talk about here. There are plenty more, but he's a pretty good example of the points I want to make, although this means I have to issue another disclaimer. The artists and content creators I will be talking about have no relation to me unless otherwise stated. I'm not telling them what to do. They are adults, they are their own bosses, and they can do what they want, and they can charge what they want, regardless of my own opinions. It's their work, and they are the judge of their self-worth. This video is more a discussion on the topic as a whole, and isn't my suggestion on what the situation should be. By no means should anyone go after this guy or the other people I might mention. They're doing their thing, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My opinions are my own. I just want to talk about this stuff and what it means in the grander scope. And with that said, let's get into it. I'm sure a lot of you saw this particular tweet from Miles DF a few months ago and boggled at the prices like everyone else. First, my thought was, whoa, what?
Wait a minute.
Why is it so much? How is that a viable business strategy? And that got me thinking about just where this money was coming from and who exactly these commissions were for. Clearly, wealthy people. So I did some digging and math. By the way, Miles DF is German and I have no idea where he is actually located, but his prices are in USD, so I'm going to assume US transactions and money. The average salary for a freelance artist in the US is about $48,750 a year, or about $25 an hour. The high end is $87,750 a year, or slightly over $42 an hour. Now, just by going over these prices, I have to make some assumptions. His art is pretty ridiculously detailed and good. It's some fantastic work, don't get me wrong, but I have to guess now at how long it takes to make. I'm not an artist like this, but I have some friends that I asked for their guesses at how long something of this quality would take to make. Using that, I'm gonna say on average an art piece like this would take about 20 to 24 cumulative hours to make, and that's being generous. Using the average freelance artist salary, that piece should come out to about $513. Again, this is being generous, but looking at the price Miles DF has here for the cheapest option, that's $3,800. That's a markup of around 7.4 times the average, and even if I take the high end, the markup is still over 4.5 times the initial. That's kind of ridiculous. Clearly a normal salaried person, or even an hourly paid person, wouldn't be able to afford this. Now, Miles DF did have a payment plan in place that would allow for up to 12 to 18 months of payments, or around $317 a month on the low end, and that's still more than my car insurance bill, which would make it slightly more affordable to non-affluent people. But but at the price of time. Who wants to invest potentially 18 months of payments into a single piece of art unless it's a status symbol? These options aren't listed on his commission price sheet any longer. In fact, I can't seem to find the sheet at all anymore, but thankfully it was captured thanks to the Wayback Machine, although the closest capture was in November of 2020. Prices look the same, except there is an additional $200 to the first tier. Now, where are all these commissions coming from, and how does someone like Miles DF make money off of them? The answer is he really doesn't, at least from what I can tell. Looking through his online gallery won't give us many answers, as it is full of personal pieces with only a couple commissions here or there, which doesn't say much besides either he doesn't post commissions often, or commissioners request he just doesn't post them. No big deal there, that's fine. Going into his scraps, we can see the other giant source of income, YCHs. Now, for those that don't know, YCH stands for Your Character Here, and is essentially a simple way for artists to sell custom pictures with a minimal amount of extra work. Typically, the pose and outlines are already done, and the blank character can have your character placed there instead. Most artists have regulations for the spot, such as specifying the gender or species or even attributes like no wings. Typical YCHs are character auctions where people can bid for the spot, with potential stretch goals should money exceed certain thresholds. Other YCHs are first to claim with a set price, like Miles DF has here. Now, branching off from Miles DF, I want to talk about the inherent risks YCHs can have as the big topic in this video. The auction setup can be especially painful financially, and some big name artists have issues like this, where their YCH auctions quickly grow over $1,000. Now, a lot of them that grow over that much in auction have adopted the set price moniker, but quite a few haven't, and some even have rather scummy behavior as well. Auction YCHs are inherently dangerous to both artists and buyers alike without some protections involved. An uncapped auction can very quickly spiral into a ridiculous amount as people get into bidding wars. I've had a friend get a bit too wrapped up in the game once and spend over $800 than what they originally bid and budgeted. Instances like this, it's easy for the artist in question to be seen as greedy and exploitive. There are even some instances of artists shadow bidding in order to raise the outcome higher. Of course, there are fake bids from followers as well, all pretty standard in gambling mentalities. A good start on fixing this and protecting yourself is to participate in bids with an auto buy amount or a hard price cap. This stops the auction from getting too crazy and others from prolonging false bids just in order to start a bid war. That's just an idea I have that seems rather common sense once you think about it. Do you guys have any more? Let me know in the comments below. Getting back on track, Miles here has several different YCH pictures that he's done. He tends to delete the actual post once finished, but I found these two, one through the Wayback Machine and one that is still on his page as of writing. These two going for $5,000 and $7,500 respectively. If you notice one thing, you'll see that these YCHs are a bit more detailed and closer to coloring than other examples of YCHs. This is by no means typical on the grander scale, as artists tend to keep YCHs down to sketches or lines in order to better edit the picture to fit the potential client's character. This isn't the case here, and while Miles hasn't posted these pictures anywhere to my knowledge, I may be wrong. But this comes off as Miles working on a normal picture and deciding something like, this is a pretty generic female design, let's make some extra money by throwing up a YCH only for a female feline, and then it's like them designing unique markings for me and paying me for it. That's not inherently a bad thing. Ethically, it's pretty gray, but still isn't the most honest thing to do and can be rather exploitive. I don't know if this is the case, but I'm a bit suspicious. Either way, it's not really that big a deal, just something people should be aware of. This is on top of my personal belief that YCH commissions come with less client control and creativity, much less. So ideally, they should be cheaper than standard commissions. The characters can be added in quickly and easily with the base figures already drawn in, and YCH buyers have even less control depending on the specificities the artist has in place. The other and outright main source of income for Miles DF is very clearly his Patreon. Patreon being a monthly subscription-based funding service made available for content creators to use to better support themselves. It's a great tool and makes perfect sense for a full-time freelance artist. That's completely fine, and hey, if you like his stuff and can afford at minimum $5 a month, go subscribe. I'd say subscribe to me, but I don't have one yet. Maybe I'll make one eventually. I don't want to get into the pros and cons of Patreon right now, because that would probably make this video twice as long. I'll get into it in the next part sometime in the future. Just know Patreon is a blessing and a curse given the fees and the growing toxic community surrounding the platform. Instead, I want to go over how all of this and Miles DF pertain to elitism. These prices are crazy and they're just too high for any average person to really see as obtainable. Now, Miles isn't the only artist to do this, not by a long shot, and some fursuit makers are the same way. Earlier this year, there was a big stink about a fursuit auction that went for 50 grand. Elitism refers to a group or individual who see themselves as higher in a society or group. In this case, it is referring to a form of gatekeeping by making sure that a certain group of people who can afford to pay these wildly inflated prices are the only ones available to be able to purchase them. This transforms the art from, well, art into a status symbol. It's like pineapples during the 17th to 18th century in England. They were so expensive, at the equivalent of around $8,000 today, that people would rent them out as decor just to show how well off they were financially. The point is that these items are only available to the elites, and this hinders the market. At what point should these items start being labeled as luxury? Should artists who charge as much as Miles here really be making commissions if they have other reliable forms of income? Is this a case of, I don't really want to do it, so I'll charge a ridiculous amount of money just to make sure it's worth my while? I'm not Miles, so I can't know. There definitely is an argument here over artist ethics and morals, and not just economic status, but overall consumerism. But again, I want to stress that this dude is the artist. He is his own boss, and he is fully allowed to charge whatever he feels his art and his time is worth. That is completely okay and without question. I can question his motives all I want, but ultimately I am not telling him what to do or demanding he lower his prices or do anything. Like any good consumer, I can't afford it, so I'm not going to buy it and I'm just gonna move on. But that doesn't mean that I can't criticize it and observe its growing effect along the way. Miles DF isn't the only artist with these prices after all. It's starting to be a growing problem.
You people have too much money.
So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. This one I'm a little concerned with that my message may get a little clouded. I'm not trying to call for any callouts. I was simply trying to use Miles as an example of what I'm trying to get at here, because it is pretty blatant. And elitism is something that I see becoming a big problem and just has been slowly growing. There's a lot of things I can point out that I really want to talk about, but I'd rather not have this video get much longer than it is now. It's already kind of crazy and I'm trying to edit this quick. So I'll probably talk about those later. What are some instances of elitism you guys want me to focus on or talk about? What are some examples that you might have run into? Let me know. That's all for today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Really helps me out because I'm still new and desperate, but hey, I'm growing slowly. And that's it. Have a great day. And if you're not, have a better one. See ya.